Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will look at a very much simplified version of the Goodwasser-Micali crypto system. So this is another public key algorithm. The public key is a semi-prime n, and the private key are the two primes that are multiplied to make n. Again, we want P and Q to be roughly the same size, and we want them to be distinct. So this algorithm again exploits the fact that it's easy to multiply together two prime numbers, even if those prime numbers have many digits, but it's very hard to factorize a large number. So we're going to go through an example. I'm just going to encrypt the single letter U, and I'm going to use n equals 65. Of course, n equals 65 is an easy number to factorize because it's small. When the computer implements this, it would use much larger primes. So basically what you do is you take your message, you put it into its ASC code, and that means you're going to have a long string of zeros and ones. So if there's a 0, you map it to x squared modulo n, and if there is a 1, it gets mapped to x squared y modulo n. So here, each time you map the 0, x is a different but random number. This here will always be a quadratic residue modulo n. On the other hand, we pick y so that it's a quadratic non-residue modulo n. So basically, this system also exploits the fact we're going to map 0 to a quadratic residue modulo n. We're going to map 1 to a quadratic non-residue modulo n, but each of these zeros and ones should be mapped to different numbers. It's easy to square a number modulo n, but it's not easy to find out whether or not it's a quadratic residue without knowing P and Q. So let's get started. So n equals 65. That means in this case, the private key would be 5 and 13. It doesn't matter which is P and which is Q, but these are the two prime numbers that multiply to 65. So x, the choice of x doesn't really matter. As I said, we can choose it randomly, but we now need to choose a y that is not a quadratic residue. So how can we know that a number's not a quadratic residue? Well, we can use these two facts in tandem. So from this fact, if I have a number that's not a quadratic residue, that means it's either not a quadratic residue modulo 5 or not a quadratic residue modulo 13. So let's just look at the quadratic residues modulo 5. So we have 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, which is equivalent to 4 again, and 4 squared is 16, which is equivalent to 1. These are the only quadratic residues modulo 5. So anything that is not a quadratic residue in this list, like 2 and 3, cannot be a quadratic residue modulo 65. So this was easy to do because 5 is a very small number, but if you have to find a number that is not a quadratic residue in a larger modulus, this one here will help us because these two numbers are always prime. You can use this rule, Euler's criterion here. So because 2 is not a quadratic residue modulo 5, it's not a quadratic residue modulo 65, so I can simply choose y equals 2. Okay, let's now go ahead and encrypt the letter U. So this is U from the ASC table. So I have to operate on each of these bits individually. So let's get started. We have a 0. I am going to map this to x squared modulo n. I'm going to choose a random value of x modulo 65. So I'm just going to choose 6. So 6 squared is equivalent to 36 modulo 65. Then for this one, I'm going to choose another random value of x. So I could get 4 squared, but then I have to times it by 2. So 4 squared times 2 is 32 modulo 65. Then for this one, I pick another value of x, let's say 10, and I multiply 10 squared by 2. So 10 squared by 2 is 200. That's equivalent to 5 modulo 65, and so on for the other ones and zeros. So here is my ciphertext, this list of digits here. So once again, each zero I mapped by squaring a random integer modulo 65. For example, for this one, I squared 18, and 324 is equal to 64 modulo 25. And for each one, I squared a number again, but then multiplied it by 2. So I got this one here by squaring 12 and multiplying by 2. So I got 288, which is 28 modulo 65. So let's now look at how to decrypt this ciphertext. So to decrypt, we need to know the quadratic residues modulo P and Q. So let's go ahead and find them. We already did 5. We found that 0, 1, and 4 are the only quadratic residues modulo 5. So for modulo 13, we can find those by squaring the numbers. So 0 squared is equivalent to 0, 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, which is equivalent to 3 modulo 13. Then 5 squared is 25, which is 12 modulo 13. 6 squared is 36, which is 10 modulo 13. Now we can actually stop there. Remember that modulo P, there are P minus 1 on 2 quadratic residues other than 0. So we've got 6 non-zero residues. We can stop there. The reason we can do that is 7 is equal to negative 6. So this will be 7 squared, 8 squared, 9 squared, 10 squared, 11 squared, and 12 squared modulo 13. So what we have to do is take each of those numbers, we reduce them modulo 5 and 13, and see if we get a quadratic residue, both of those modulo. So I've set up here a table. What we're going to do is we're going to reduce each of these numbers from the ciphertext modulo 5. So this will be 1, 2, 0, 1, 0, 4, and 3. Okay, now we can just check which of these is on the list. Well, 1 is a quadratic residue modulo 5, 2 is not, 0, 1 always are modulo anything, 4 is, 3 is not. Let's go and do the same for 13. We're going to take each of these numbers and reduce modulo 13. So 36 is equivalent to 10 modulo 13. We have 6, 5, 4, 7, 9, and 2. So which of those is on our list? Well, 10 was a quadratic residue modulo 10, 6 is not, 5 is not, 4 is, 7 is not, 9 is, and 2 is not. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means 36 is a quadratic residue modulo 5 and modulo 13. So this 36 will be mapped back to 0. 32, we see, because it's not a quadratic residue 5 or 13 modulus, it will not be a quadratic residue modulo 65. So 32 is a non-residue, it gets mapped back to 1. 5, on the other hand, it wasn't a residue mod 13, so it won't be modulo 65, so it gets mapped back to 1. We already did 32, it's a non-residue, non-residues get mapped back to 1, residues get mapped back to 0. 56 was a residue both, so it gets mapped to 0. It has to be a residue, both of them. 20 wasn't a residue modulo 13, even though it was mod 5, so it's a non-residue mod 65. It goes back to 1. 64 was in both, so it gets mapped to 0, and 28 was not in either, so it gets mapped back to a 1. You can see that we've mapped our ciphertext back to our original plain text. And then you can just use the ASC2 table to see that that is the character U. So there is obviously a bit of a problem here. You can see that to just encrypt this one letter, lots and lots of text here. So it does require a lot of plain text for even small messages, but it is very secure. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.